cents a serving. Our proprietary blend has no additives or fillers, just the full nutritional value of a variety of 31 different fruits and vegetables. Balance of Nature provides you with a natural energy boost without a caffeine crash, a 3 o'clock slump, or an early bedtime. Experience the Balance of Nature difference for yourself by going to balanceofnature.com or by calling 1-800-2468-751 and use discount code USA.
Me Too movement vocalist Vice President Kamala Harris has refused to comment on Democrat Governor Andrew Cuomo's mounting sexual misconduct. President Biden has finally made a comment on his longtime friend. Dan Naraki from the Ohio USA Radio News Bureau reports.
President Biden has made his first comment on the ongoing scandals of New York Governor Andrew Cuomo when asked by reporters outside the White House Sunday whether the governor should resign.
I think the investigation is underway and we should see where it brings us.
Democratic New York State Senator Alessandra Biaggi says the president's non-committal response doesn't surprise her, but
supercharge your raised gardening beds with Keyhole Gardening. That's coming up on This Land of Ours.
Smart shoppers will tell you they found it on highbid.com. Highbid.com lets you explore thousands of auctions across the U.S. and around the world. You'll find gold coins, sporting goods, classic cars, collectible toys, fine jewelry, household items, and sports memorabilia autographed by the greats. Highbid.com has hundreds of thousands of items for sale every day. It's easy to search and it's easy to find auctions in your area. Just go to highbid.com. That's HIBID.com and see what everyone is talking about.
Here's farmer and landowner John Prue.
We purchased the land about 3 years ago, and there was an old farmstead on there with trees. We were going to clear the land so we could farm through it. We thought we knew where the pipe was, so we didn't call to get it located. The work on our property led to the damage of a light crude pipeline. Fortunately, no one was hurt, but it could have been much worse.
Never assume the location or depth of underground lines. Always call 811 or visit clickbeforeyoudig.com before you start work. A message from the Pipeline Operators for Ag Safety campaign.
Keyhole Gardening combines the convenience of an elevated growing space and the nutrient boost of a built-in compost bin. Most keyhole gardens are rounded raised beds with a notch cut in the middle, similar to a keyhole, hence the name, to allow for easy access to the entire plot. In the middle of the plot sits a basket for composting and watering. The planting bed can be filled with garden soil, compostable material such as cardboard, newspaper, grass clippings, coffee grounds, and other kitchen scraps, and manure, or a combination of the two. If you use layers of organic material in the bed itself, it will help retain moisture, leading to less watering. When creating your keyhole garden, look for an area that's relatively flat. Avoid any lie-lowing areas where water collects. Also, ensure the area receives at least 6 hours of direct sunlight per day. Keyhole gardens are relatively low maintenance. However, if the quality of your produce starts to deteriorate over the years, you may need to add some fresh soil and compost. I'm Kathy Isom, Southeast AgNet.
When it really counts, depend on the source for the latest weather updates, keeping you ahead of the storm. 96.3 FM, 1370 AM, The Source.
Partly sunny and warm today with a high of 84 to 87, then mainly clear this evening, low tonight 61 to 65. Tomorrow will be partly sunny and warm, high Tuesday 84 to 87, then Wednesday will be mostly sunny with a high of 87 to 90. Look for a thunderstorm in the area Thursday afternoon. From the Florida Weather Center, I'm Holly Holdren.
The Ocala Golf Club, one of Ocala's premier golf courses, from its pristine 18-hole course layout to its amazing pro shop. Jason Linhart and the staff at Ocala Golf offer everything that you need for your golf outing. That's the Ocala Golf Club. Experience country club-style golf at municipal prices. You won't go wrong with the Ocala Golf Club. Call them for a tee time today, 352-401-6917.
This is Ocala Talks with Tom Schmidt, bringing stories that are important to our community in and around Ocala. Plus, of course, a splash of sports as well. Now, here's your host, Tom.
Welcome back to Ocala Talks, hour number 3 on a Monday, March 15th. Ooh, the Ides of March.
Ides of March.
Today's the Ides of March. You just registered with me. Et tu, Brute?
And what?
Et tu, Brute?
What does that mean?
Well, Julius Caesar, in Shakespeare's Julius Caesar, as he's being stabbed, he saw Brutus, who was his best friend, and Brutus had set him up. So he was like, "You too, Brutus?" And so everybody assumes that's what was
his last words.
Yeah, Shakespeare said that. There was no et tu, Brute.
Right.
But Shakespeare said it. Just like
it sounds good though.
Just like the Paul Revere's famous ride. Mm-hmm. When you read Paul Revere's famous ride, it was written some 80 years afterwards. And was it Washington Irving that wrote it? I forget who it was that wrote it. But anyway, they wrote it. And they talk about Paul Revere's midnight ride. And first off, Paul Revere only got about 2 miles outside of Boston. He got captured and sent back to Boston.
So he wasn't yelling the British were coming?
No, William Dawes actually made the trek all the way to Lexington and Concord. And then think about what you just said. What does everybody think Paul Revere said?
The British are coming.
The British are coming. The British are coming. No way he would have said that. And here's why.
Why?
He was British. The British weren't coming. They were all British at the time. There was no America then. It was the colonies. Mm-hmm. He would have said something like, the regulars are coming, because that's what the Army were, the British regulars. He would have never said the British are coming, because he was British.
He was British.
He would never distinguish that a different group. He was British. Mm-hmm. So, but don't let the truth get in the way of a good story.
Well, that's, I was just going to say, you can attribute that to everything in daily life that people say about you. I always tell people.
Well, that's like,
I'll tell you the truth. You don't have to worry about it.
That's like in Star Wars. People go, Luke, I am your father. The only place that was ever uttered was in Tommy Boy. Chris Farley went, Luke, I am your father. This is CNN. Oh, it is the same guy. That was Tommy Boy. Never in the movie Star Wars did you hear Darth Vader look at Luke.
Sure?
100%.
I don't know now, because I'm a pretty big Star Wars fan.
Never did he look at Luke and go, Luke, I am your father. Never.
I thought it was I don't know now. I think it was in the second movie.
It was not.
Okay.
I'll give you the exact quote. Google, what was the quote instead of Luke, I am your father? Okay. The real Darth Vader quote is probably the most famous line in all Star Wars. When he tells Luke the truth about his family, the exchange goes like this: Obi-Wan never told you what happened to your father. Okay? He goes, Obi-Wan never told you what happened to your father. He told me enough. He told me you killed him. No, I am your father. He never says, Luke, I am your father. But everybody thinks he said, Luke, I am your father. Mm-hmm. And he didn't. He said, no, I am your father. That's when he realized that Anakin Skywalker was Darth Vader. Mm-hmm. But you didn't realize his name was Anakin until
the sequel.
25 years later.
Mm-hmm.
So.
But, have you rode Rise of the Resistance?
Uh-huh.
It's just I'm still, verklempt from it. You have to really be a Star Wars fan, but I loved it. I loved it. I want to just go again.
And I was a Star Wars fan and a Return of the Jedi and Empire Strikes Back.
Oh, yeah, all of them.
But since then, not so much.
Why?
I just...
No, I love it.
You know what ruined it for me?
What?
That damn Jar Jar Binks.
No, see, you can't let stuff like that ruin a whole...
that was just put in to be a comedic in Hollywood. Nowhere in the books does he exist. Mm-hmm. Now, see, I read all the books. I read all 9
books. Did you?
Oh,
yeah. No, I love it.
That's like... I love it. All my friends that are big Bilbo Baggins fans and everything from J.R.R. Tolkien.
Oh,
why can't I remember the books?
Rings, The Lord of the Rings.
Lord of the Rings.
Yeah,
The Hobbit and Lord of the Rings. I read the books. Mm-hmm. I went and sat in the movie. 30 minutes into the movie, I was like, well, this is complete garbage.
Yeah, you can't.
So I left. And I know people are out there. There are people all over that listening to this that love that movie and everything. They're slamming on their brakes right now, calling me an idiot. But you're wrong. The books were great. The movies were terrible.
And that's usually the case. The movies are never as good as the books.
The only movie that was as good as the book, and it's because if you read the book's only 163 pages. And there are passages out of the book that are word for word in the movie. And that's a book called Wise Guys. And it was the movie that, to me, the greatest movie ever made. No, and I'm going to say this: the second greatest movie ever made was The Godfather. Mm-hmm. Third greatest movie ever made.
Oh, you're saying Godfather was the second? See,
second.
no, Godfather is right there, top for me.
Second, and
It's our playbook.
And Godfather 2 was the third best movie. Mm-hmm. The best movie ever made was Goodfellas. But you could go 1, 2. You can take Godfather 2, and Goodfellas and put them in any order you want.
They're all the same.
Long as they're, I mean, you know, people say, what's your Christmas tradition? People, I watch A Christmas Story. I watch This Wonderful Life. I watch The Godfather Part 2.
Yeah. Well, it always slays me when people say something about, people who, look to get revenge. I'm like, I'm Italian. Have you not watched The Godfather? It's our playbook.
Well, like, and people,
what?
people from, remember the girl that dated Prince, and she was in Purple Rain, Apollonia.
Oh, yeah.
And she had a band, Apollonia 6 and everything. People go, oh, yeah, that's a unique name. I go, no, it wasn't. It's the name of Michael's wife that got blown up in the car in The Godfather.
That's right. That's right.
That's unique.
That's your
Apollonia. She got blown up in the car. And
that's what started it all, right? That's what.
When Michael had went because he had to shoot the cop and the other guy, and he goes over to Italy because he's got to hide, and then they blow Apollonia up, and he goes, yeah. That's what made Michael come back.
That was it.
Michael was a nice guy when he went to Italy.
That's right. Michael was the good boy. He was the good boy, and then
Sonny was the guy.
Sonny was the bad guy.
When Michael got back from Italy,
that's
such a nice guy.
He wasn't playing anymore. Well, that's what happens. You take somebody when you lose somebody you love so deeply.
And then he kissed Chris Cuomo in the face and goes, Fredo. I know. Oh, no, wait, no. Yeah. Chris Cuomo got mad. Somebody called him Fredo. Never mind. I'm sorry.
Yeah. I was going to say, what did Chris Cuomo was it?
Remember? No, did you see that?
Fredo, you broke my heart.
Yeah.
Broke my heart.
What was it, about a year and a half ago, that some guy called Chris Cuomo Fredo in the subway station, and he's ready to fight him.
Yeah.
That's an insult to Italians. I was like, no, it's just an insult to
you.
Because it struck close to home.
Because it struck a nerve. Because you're weak.
First off, in the realm of things that offend Italians, something that happened in a movie in 1972,
right,
ain't it?
Right.
The fact.
And
that
again, the Fredo in the boat. I always say Fredo in the boat when they knock him off. Yeah. When what was it? What was the anyway? Yeah, that's a classic scene. That's what it's your life learning lesson. Don't be Fredo in the boat, man. Don't betray the family.
People don't understand. When sometimes I tell the story, people go, "That's just mean." I was like, "Well, not really. It's just how you deal with things."
Were you full-blooded? Your parents full-blooded Italian?
German dad.
Yeah. See, both sides of my family were full-blooded Sicilian. All my mother's parents and my father's.
But I got the vindictive side.
Well, sure, you get it. And growing up in New Jersey and the whole deal, and just having family, on my one side of the family was in the garbage business.
Right. No. Excuse me.
What?
The waste management business.
Yeah. So, and I was the baby of 14 boys on my father's side of the family, grandchildren.
Because it was a good Catholic family.
Good Catholic family. My father had 4 other brothers and sisters, but there were 14 grandchildren, and I was the youngest, and I was the only girl. Well, I'm sorry, the oldest was a girl, and the youngest was a girl. The rest were all boys. And, you grow up in that male-dominated Italian, Sicilian, you don't betray the family.
Well, my sister
and revenge is a thing.
My youngest sister to this day. My youngest sister's 50 now, she to this day, if I bring up the name of Jason, she loses her mind. There was a kid, Jason Graham, that she went to high school with, and they were in Georgia. You go kindergarten through 7th in one school, then you go 8th through 12th in another school. Now it's changed a little since then, but when we were there, you did K through 7, and then 8th through 12th. So you weren't a freshman when you got to high school. You were a sub-freshman or a subby. That's what we called them. So my senior year was my youngest sister's subby year, and she got asked to the Sadie Hawkins dance by a 10th grader, Jason, who his brother Brent and I were very good friends. Now, Jason was a 10th grader, but he hung out with us. So he was a dog just like we were. And my sister said he'd asked her out on a date, so I promptly went to him and goes, so you're going to tell her you're not taking her?
Oh.
He goes, excuse me? I go, let me explain something to you. Either you go tell my sister you're not taking her, or I'm going to make sure you're not physically able to go.
Nice.
You decide.
Typical brother.
You decide. So he goes and tells her, and she goes, why? And he tells her why he can't take her.
Because your brother said
so now
no.
she's mad at me.
I would.
Now she's mad at me. She comes to me. She goes, I go, not my problem. You're a little sis. It's just how it is.
Yep.
She, to this day, she gets volatilely angry where she will scream and yell if I bring up that story.
I don't blame her.
But you understand what she went
do.
through.
And it's the Italian tradition. It's things like that people don't understand.
That's my sis.
I was just sharing a story with somebody the other day. He was, as a friend of mine who's always like, checking on me. I've had some bad couple of months and some people die and lost some loved ones. And so, I've been laying low for a while. And this friend of mine, he's always kind of calling, did you leave the house? Did you do this? Did you do that? And so I was telling him the story of how the Italian women would grieve in the neighborhoods. Now, did you grow up in a neighborhood like,
No, but I would go up to South Jersey in the summer, spend summers with my grandma.
What would happen
somebody
is
would die every summer.
If they're my grandmother lived in Passaic, New Jersey, and I spent most of my time with my grandmother, and it was an all Italian neighborhood. Everybody. And the one neighbor, the women would always sit out on the front porch, all in black with the black veils, and there would always be a death. There was always, and they had to wear the black and the black veils. The traditional Italians would wear it for 1 year.
My cousin Richie called them the professional grievers.
Professional grievers, and they were always grieving somebody. And we had the one neighbor, her name was Dunette, and my grandmother would always be, look at that Dunette. They had another death over there. Dunette's in the black. She's got the veil on, the whole deal. So I was telling my friend, I said, listen, I'm going to put the black veil over my head. I got about another 6 months. I can grieve and just.
Nobody will bother you.
I'll sit on the front porch. Yeah, nobody talks to you. They didn't talk, and they wore all their black, and they had the veil over their face, and they'd go to mass once a week. Everybody walked to church.
And by the way, we're not stereotyping here. This is the God's honest truth.
This is how we grew up.
So. But the vindictiveness, but you do it with a smile on your face.
Oh, yeah.
That's the thing.
Oh yeah.
I had in college, and the statute of limitations has run out on this, so I'm good. In college, any conversation you start with me in college, usually you have to see if the statute of limitations are good or not. But in college, I had a girl, Stacy, who was dating me. And she decided that she didn't want to date me anymore, which I understand. I'm not the most likable person. But she wanted to just move across from my bedroom, across the common area to my friend's bedroom, because she thought he was, whatever, 20. Could do what he wanted to, 22. Okay, sure. It was during the summer break. And my buddy Matt, who was no longer my buddy after this, but he would always drink white grape juice. He had a thing of white grape juice that was always in this refrigerator. And so she moved her toothbrush and all over to his room and everything, and they're doing what they do. And during that summer, he lost 31 pounds. She lost 26 pounds. They were constantly going to the restroom 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 times, stomach always a mess and everything. And they just back and forth losing. They went to the doctor because they just couldn't stay off the bathroom and everything, and they couldn't figure out what was going on. Well, I know exactly
what was in the white. What'd you put in the white grape juice?
Every time they put a new bottle of white grape juice, I'd put a 3/4 ounce bottle of liquid laxative in the grape juice.
Oh my God!
So once again.
I always say this, and but
by the way, the statutes of limitations have run out on it.
No. And you get in trouble. But what I always say is, there's no statute of limitations on my revenge.
Oh, none.
Oh, none. People. I have certain feuds and different things that are well known and some that are not as well known. And, if I talk about something, people always be like, what? Let it go. Get over it. Now I'm Italian.
Yeah. I had another great story.
Ricky can happen.
Ricky Truesdale was one of my best buddies in Atlanta growing up. And Ricky Truesdale, he was the guy that always had the hot rod car and everything. He was the guy, he had a 67 Camaro. He had a 72 Nova Super Sport. He had an 86 Boss Mustang. He was that guy. Mm-hmm. And one time I forget how he wronged me, but he did something to me. I remember. He pantsed me.
Oh, God. In public?
Stone Mountain. Walking around Stone Mountain. And back in the day, in the early 80s, early middle 80s, Sundays at Stone Mountain, you would drive around in your hot rods around the mountain. It was 3 miles loop, and it would take you an hour and a half to get around the mountain. That was how crowded it was. And then other guys like me and my buddies that were all workout gurus, you can't tell it now from this fat belly and everything, but at one time in my life, I was 225 pounds with 4% body fat. And we wore the spandex shorts and the Gold's Gym tank top and just
typical
huge,
Guido.
And I mean,
gold chain,
hair done, big old black hair back and everything. Muscles rippling, just thought we were the Shiite. And we weren't. We were horrible people. But we thought we were great people.
Right.
And so Truesdale comes up behind us one day, and I didn't know it's him, and he yanks and pantses me. Now, this is a time in my life where underwear were optional.
Oh, God.
So the
whole vision in my mind, I can't unsee.
He pantses me in the middle of this parking lot in front of God and everybody. Okay. Yeah, all right. Okay. You want to play that game? So...
He at least expect it.
His car started acting up. Wouldn't work. It would every time he'd give it gas, it would shut off, and then he'd crank right back up. He'd drive, and then, low 500-600 feet, shut off, just constantly. And it was a '67 Camaro, and he took it apart. He's like, carburetor and everything. He's working on this. Spent lots of money trying to figure out what was going on. Finally, he drops his gas tank, I guess. Well, about 2 months after he pants me, he's having these car troubles and everything. He comes over to my door, and I open the door, and I'm smiling, and he throws a rubber Super Ball, and it hits me in the chest, and it smells like gasoline. I go, probably shouldn't have pantsed me, huh? He knew once he found it, he knew exactly who to come to. I go, probably should have pantsed me. What I'd done is I went the next day and got one of those. Remember those for a quarter you could put in the quarter, get the little super rubber. Mm-hmm. And this was back unleaded gas. This was before unleaded gas. It was leaded gas. So gas tanks didn't have the little hole. They were
bigger.
And so I put that rubber ball down there. And every time he'd press the gas, I'd suck that rubber ball up and shut off the fuel line, go into his carburetor and shut his car off.
Oh, my God.
He couldn't figure it out for 2 months. I knew what was going on. Probably should have pantsed me.
That's right. Listen.
You embarrass me. I'm going to do the worst to you that I can do, and that's mess with your cars. He goes, I can't believe you. I go, you're lucky. I could have put sugar in the gas tank. Calm down.
Well, our dear friend Greg Graham used to say all the time, revenge is a dish. Best served cold.
Served cold.
Old Klingon philosophy.
Yeah.
But,
so yeah, that's a little... We ventured from The Godfather into what it's like to be really vindictive and Italian.
Be a vindictive Italian it never goes away.
But that's why
people don't understand.
That's why Michael kissed Fredo.
Sure.
And said, I knew it was you.
Well, he said, you broke my heart.
You broke my heart. And he did.
And that's what, and generally that's what happens. With an Italian. It's somebody you love, that you trusted, that betrayed you.
Right.
And then they break your heart, so you got to kill them.
You put liquid laxative in their grape juice.
You got to kill them. Yeah.
You put liquid laxative in their grape juice.
Most of the people that I have been betrayed by were people that I truly loved. And you feel bad when you got to screw them over. But
speaking of somebody I truly love, my fiance called during the break.
Oh, your lovely bride-to-be.
And she gave a heads up. She had gotten a message that we were talking about the vaccine. Mm-hmm. And she got a heads up that to check her life insurance policy. She has a life insurance policy she's had for I don't know how many years, but she's got a life insurance policy. And somebody told her you need to check your life insurance policy because some life insurance policies won't pay out if you die from the use of an experimental drug.
Really?
And the COVID-19 vaccine, because it's only been approved for emergency use, is still classified as a experimental drug. So if you have a life insurance policy out there, you need to...
And you get vaccinated and then you die, your family is not going to be able to collect.
If your life insurance policy is written that way.
Sure.
It all depends. But that's things about this pandemic that I didn't even...
People don't understand. Well, and I'll go one step further because, I've buried more people than I care to care to bury. But a death certificate is very specific.
Very.
Very specific on how the person dies. And I never knew that until my mom and dad and you.
Yeah,
very specific. And there's, believe me, that death certificate is more important than a birth certificate.
And let me explain this to you. No matter what you think about how good your good buddy, the insurance agent, if he's a good friend of yours and everything.
Yeah.
One of my best friends is an insurance agent. We spoke about it. He's an insurance agent, right? Mm-hmm. He would never sell me anything that would be a deterrent to me. He would always have my best interest when he sold it to me. But he just sells the policy. Mm-hmm. Underwriters and big wigs at the insurance company make the decisions on who gets paid and who doesn't get paid.
And who doesn't. Yep.
And believe me, big insurance companies are big insurance companies because they pay out less than they should a lot of times. Mm-hmm. And believe me, if they can find a loophole out of getting out of paying a life insurance policy, they will. So this experimental drug thing is something. If you have life insurance, I would think in the next day or so, you should consult your insurance agent and say, hey, does my policy cover me even if I'm in experimental medicine? Because the COVID vaccine is listed as experimental medicine.
Yeah.
And an insurance company, believe me, will try to find any way out they can.
Yeah, you're not kidding.
Any way out they can.
You are not kidding.
So just as a PSA to everybody out there, if you have a life insurance policy, just get it out. Read it or call your agent and ask them the very pointed question. Is the COVID vaccine, is it considered experimental by my life insurance company? And if so, do they pay out if I were to get the shot and pass away from it? Because those are the kinds of concerns I would have never thought about that during this pandemic.
Yeah.
Just not you would think, you die, your life insurance pays.
And the fear factor has people running, to get this shot. And just like I said about the birth defects and the things like that with the young people, I mean, that's kind of scary too.
We still don't know. We know more about the virus than we knew a year ago. Mm-hmm. We know more about the vaccines than we did 3 months ago.
Yeah.
But we still don't know. We're in the infancy of knowing about it all.
Of it. Yeah.
And now with these mutations and everything, and I saw 60 Minutes did the whole thing last night on the mutations. And I was like, well, that's kind of scary now that there's like 6 different variants and everything, and that the vaccines aren't proven as effective on those variants as they are originally.
Right.
And
which is no different than the flu. How many variations of the flu is there? How many people get a flu shot and die? How many people get a flu shot and still get the flu? Or how many, get the shot and get sick the next day from the shot? None of that's ever going to be perfected or whatever.
Look, doctors tell you up front, they're not real sure what they're doing. They're just practicing.
Yeah,
they tell you right up front. They don't tell you they're working. Yeah. We're just practicing.
Yeah, And
remember, it's called doctors.
And think about how we've dumbed down our education system. So the future of our medical professionals is going to get
don't get me started
lighter and lighter.
WOCA, the source.
Broadcasting from the Paddock Mall Studios, this is WOCA, Ocala, Gainesville, The Villages, 1370 AM, 96.3 FM, The Source.
If you have 30 minutes, USA Radio News with Lance Pride.
The Myanmar military declared martial law in 2 townships of the country's largest city, Yangon, after mounting a deadly response to ongoing rallies against last month's coup. Myanmar's military is accused of 38 deaths and dozens of injuries on Sunday against its own people. Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen said the U.S. inflation risk is a possibility as the Biden administration dumps $1.9 trillion of borrowed money into the economy. President Clinton's Treasury Secretary Lawrence Summers also directed the Economic Council for Obama have questioned whether its spending is excessive, given that the broader economy has been remarkably resilient. Police in North Carolina evacuated local businesses Sunday after they found several suspected incendiary devices near a Baptist church and a county building. Police in Brevard, a city in western North Carolina, said several devices were found near the Baptist Church of Brevard. The FBI and ATF have been called in to investigate. USA Radio News.
The
The following is a paid announcement. The advertiser was paid a marketing fee for a digital campaign. Please make sure to review our disclaimer on our forward page.
The new year is here, and the time is now to capitalize on the EV stocks boom in the U.S. markets. The red-hot EV sector is on fire with no signs of slowing down. Here's just one example of what you can get with the information delivery system from Metals Industry Report. The electronic vehicles market could see a compounded annual growth rate of around 21.1% through 2026, turning into a multi-trillion-dollar industry. Text TECH to 48542 for more info on the EV market and to set your investment research strategy to hyper-growth mode now with your free subscription to the Metals Industry Report. If you're interested in our hit list of the hottest stocks to look at in 2021, then text the word TECH to 48542. Text now to get your free subscription from Metals Industry Report. We deliver the data directly to your mobile device so you can make decisions as market conditions change. Text the word TECH to 48542. Text TECH to 48542.
Take advantage of
for less at the DIY Home Center outlet. Get top quality real wood cabinets the same or less